Hello and welcome. This video is going to be a what sold for me on eBay because that is the only platform I made sales on the last week of February, and it's going to be February 22nd to February 28th. February is great in that there are 4 equal weeks in it. It's awesome. Miss Moxie is down here per usual. Hello. So you'll see her tail flicking around. I don't have a tail. She does. She's just slightly below the camera. So I'm gonna scoot over and we're gonna go over what to sold. The first item I have to share with y'all is this vintage Herman Geist sweater. I picked this up for Thriftmas. I knew that this thing was gonna sell quickly. First of all, it was adorable. It had a lot of things going for it. Again, purple people love purple. This was purple, so it sold very quickly. I love my purple people. You guys are awesome. But I picked this up because it had absolutely gorgeous embroidery. It was super cottagecore. It was just, this is everything I look for in a vintage sweater. Also, it had the puff sleeves. Puff sleeves are still really on trend. Actually, interesting sleeves in general are still super on trend, except for cold shoulder. Cold shoulder is still kind of like, not so much. But puff sleeve, bell sleeve, flare sleeve, the peasant sleeve, all those are still super popular, so I'm really happy this sold for $23. And again, it was a super fast flip and I paid like $5 for this, so it was awesome. This is a pair of Eileen Fisher jeans. These are actually something that came in a thread-up box, so I paid like a few dollars for this. I actually wore these a couple times before I decided to let them move on to a new home. I could wear these with boots, but the inseam wasn't quite long enough for me. It had 31-inch inseam and I need a 32-inch inseam. So I was just like, you know what? I don't really wear these because they're not quite long enough and I don't always want to wear boots. So they just moved on to new home for $15. Again, these came in a thread-up box, so I thought this was fabulous. This is something I have Carolyn and Ernie to thank for. This is one of the items that they gifted to me when Carolyn and Ernie went through their closet. I'm actually really surprised at how much this sold for. I was surprised when I did comps for it. This is Up West, which is a brand I never heard of. Carolyn is an amazing dresser and she's very trendy. She always looks just super cute. And this sold for $15. It was a small waffle knit piece. I actually tried this on myself, but I don't like the things that have the twist fronts in them. Just like I don't really like tie fronts either. It's just a personal thing. I just don't like the way it looks like on me. It looks amazing on other people. It's just not something that I personally gravitate towards. So it sold for $15, and again, this was free to me, so this was pure profit. So tell people what you do. You'd be surprised at how generous your friends and family and just random people in your life can be, including my internet friends. You guys are awesome. This is from that Thriftmas video that you all will never get to see. This sold super fast. This is my first time finding Roan. I know about Roan from my friend Matt over at Thrift-A-Life. His menswear manifesto, or his manifesto as I like to call it, has made me so much money over the past like couple of years since he's released it. I always get every single iteration of his because friends support friends. It's worth it. It is free / pay what you want. I think I will link it down below if you're interested in it. Again, it's free / pay what you want. It is a great resource. I do know he's updating it. I don't know if he's released the next iteration yet. He might do that before he decides to go on his no band life. But it's around tank top, sold for $15, super quick. I paid $3 for this at a Goodwill. I picked these up at the bins. I actually picked up a bunch of these little tiny Beatrix Potter books because I am personally trying to collect all of them in this particular iteration. I have picked up a few over the course of my life and I am so close to completing it. But when I found a bunch of these at the bins, hardcovers were 50 cents a piece. I bought all of them. And the ones that were duplicates, because I couldn't remember which ones exactly I had, I just decided to put them together and sell them. And these two paid for the ones that I kept. So it sold for $4 and I had $1 invested into this. So I really love that about reselling, is that a lot of times you can pay for the things that you want to keep for yourself when you're out thrifting by reselling the other stuff that you find that is more valuable. And also you get to wear it until it sells, which is what I'm doing now because this is from a recent thrift haul as well. And I think I look rather dashing. You guys know I love Tahari. I not only like to wear it, there's plenty of it in my closet. I also like to resell it, especially and specifically their linen pieces. So this is a linen button front. This was actually in my own closet. until it's sold. It's sold for $12 and the buyer paid for shipping. I paid like $4.50 for this. So perfectly happy with that. This is a pair of Cole Haan penny loafers. I picked these up for Thriftmas. I paid like $4 for these in Pocosin. I will legitimately only pick up Cole Haan if I can get them for really cheap. Also, these ones don't look like they had ever been worn, which is honestly why I picked them up. They are a classic style, the basic patent leather penny loafer, and for $4 I figured I could sell them for $20, and I did. I sold them for $21, so I was really happy with this. This is a great sale. So this is the first of the $50 sales for this week. I had a couple, which was very nice, especially since I don't actually have that many sales to share with you this week, but the ones I did get were pretty good. This is Veronica Beard. This is the first time I've ever found Veronica Beard, and that is because I found this in California. I paid up for these. I paid $12 for them at a Goodwill in downtown San Diego and the Gaslamp District. That was an experience. In fact, that was the instance when I walked back to TwitchCon, I had to jump over human poop, big massive filth, and I accidentally landed in dog poop. So I don't know why I felt I needed to share that with you. This is a $49.87 sale. It sold for my full asking price. I just had never found Veronica Beard before, and I was super excited about it. I had hoped these would fit me, but they unfortunately were too short, which is the common problem for me. But they sold for my full asking price, so didn't work out for me. Was totally worth the incident, and also it was really nice to click this off of my bucket. This next item is a viewer sale. Kathy, thank you very much. I picked this up, I believe, at an estate sale for very inexpensive, and as soon as she saw it, she sent me a lovely message and said she was super excited because she'd been looking for an apron, and when she saw this in my video, she immediately had to have it, and I greatly appreciate it. It was such a cute little apron. It's from the 80s. It had little blue strawberries all over it, and it had cute little like ribbons and lace detailing on the patch pockets. It was just precious, and it was brand new, so super excited that it went to a viewer, and I hope you have made all kinds of cookies and or just food in general wearing your new apron and that you love it. This is a soft surroundings piece. This I also picked up for Thriftmas. I doubled my money. I picked it up because it's soft surroundings, and I've had luck selling duster cardigans just in general. But this one, when I looked it up, it was very saturated. So I listed it pretty low and in hoping for a faster flip. And then someone sent me a $10 offer, and I was like, you know what? I'm doubling my money. You can have it. So it sold for $10, and the buyer paid padded flat rate for shipping. This, I was surprised that it sold. I almost was getting close to like donating this or seeing if it would sell to like Plato's Closet or Clothing Mentor, just because I had picked this up because it was vintage, and you all know I have a weakness for vintage, and I had initially thought that this was silk when I felt it. It wasn't until I got it home, because I got it along with a bunch of other clothes, that it's actually polyester. But it was a great neutral and a good basic. It is from the 90s. I think the 90s thing is what sold it. But I paid $3 for this at a thrift store. It sold for $9, so I still made profit, and I didn't have to redonate it, and it went on to a new home. Now this 90s piece, I was not worried about selling at all. I probably could have waited and gotten more for it, but when I waited, I mean, I probably could have listed it higher and just waited for the right buyer, but I wanted it to sell quickly. This was something I picked up for Thriftmas. This was the Limited, which in a mixed media top. It was linen, it was like cotton, it had a bunch of rayon, it had pretty much all the different fabrics. It was all stitched together in this like crazy way, and I knew that this was going to sell quickly. I marked it at $19.87. I got 5 offers for $10, pretty much $10, $12, $11, like 5 offers within the first 24 hours of me listing this. Within 48 hours, somebody just bought it outright. Pretty much if I list something and I'm getting a bunch of lowball offers, as soon as I list it, it's gonna sell for full price. That has consistently been how it's worked out for me. I don't know about how it's worked out for you, but whenever I see a bunch of lowball offers, as soon as I list something, I'm just like, decline. And that has thankfully not bitten me in the butt yet. Here, I'm gonna knock on some hangers because it's the only wood in the area, but sold for $19.87. The 90s are still super end, and when it's an interesting piece like this, I'm pretty safe selling vintage. This is a pair of L'Artiste La Artist Alexandra sandals. These are gladiator heels. Do you remember when gladiator heels were in? I do. I remember when everybody was wearing them. I never got into that trend. But I actually picked these up when I went thrifting at the bins with Brett when he decided to drive up from FlipCon and meet me, and we had lunch and went thrifting together. And I actually found more shoes thrifting that one day with Brett at the bins in Richmond than I normally ever find at a thrift store, even like retail thrifts. So that was crazy. And it was mostly because I was picking up not known brands or not commonly known brands. But I picked these up because it was $3.50 and these sold for $17. I know other resellers have had luck specifically with La Artiste. I don't know what sub-brand it is. Hopefully Editing Bob has put what sub-brand it's from. But these normally are interesting and very trendy. And if you get the right trend, they sell pretty quick. So I have made money selling White Stag. And I actually have made money selling Dockers, and that is because this was free to me. My aunt and uncle cleaned out their closet. My aunt Diane and Uncle Lauren cleaned out their closets during the holidays and gave me all of it. And my uncle had a bunch of Dockers. That seems to be his go-to pants brand. And I didn't want to resell them. I felt like they would do better if they went to a regular thrift store because they were all in good shape, but they wouldn't really resell, and they would kind of like saturate my store with a bajillion men's pants. But these ones were vintage and made in the USA, and they were a pleated pair of green twill pants. So I figured that these would sell, and they actually sold very quickly. They sold for my full asking price of $14.87, and I was shocked. I had these like less than a couple of weeks. So this was great. And again, Aunt Diane, Uncle Lauren, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. It meant a lot. It meant a lot that you thought of me to do this. This is something I picked up at the Goodwill here in Newport News. I paid $4.50 for this. This is a rugby kit. If you ever list a jersey from soccer, as Americans would say it, soccer or rugby, if you put, instead of just jersey, put in kit, because people that are football and rugby fanatics, that's normally what they're going to call it. That does help. I actually have pretty good success with international sales selling this kind of stuff, doing that. So, sold for $14.30, and the buyer, of course, paid for shipping. This, I specifically kept this in here because I wanted to talk about it. So, for my business, I have 30-day buyer paid returns in my store. And that is for a couple of reasons. My store is set up to automatically accept all returns within the 30-day window, and the buyer pays to ship it back. And the reason why I have 30-day buyer paid returns is because if someone really is actually like wanting to return the item, they return the item. It's no big deal. I don't disclose, other than in these videos, that if someone returns to me the item and it's in the same condition that I sent it to them in, I will refund their original shipping. That is just something that I do for my personal business. If you do buyer paid returns and you keep it, again, you do you for your business. That just kind of feels right for me. They paid for it one way and I got it back so I can resell it. It's no big deal. It's just the cost of doing business. And then normally the buyer is much happier in that way, and it just overall as a customer service piece works for me. The reason why I do buyer paid returns instead of free returns is because my return rate, one, is super low. And part of that has to do with the fact that most of the people that open a return when it's an item under $20, they don't actually send it back. That is what happened here. It said returned. This individual opened a return. It automatically got accepted. After about 2 weeks, they opened a case, and then the case got automatically closed because they didn't return the item to me. And I have had like 6 or 7 returns open in the last couple of months, and I've only actually had to return money twice. The rest of them have been like this, where they opened the return, they realized that they had to pay for the return, and so they opened a case, and then eBay's like, nah. And then the rest of them, the buyer, like it gets close to like they have to return it and it automatically opens up a case, and then of course they didn't send the item back, so it gets closed again. And the reason why I do that is to prevent people from abusing the return system, because people are used to Amazon and people abuse the Amazon return system all the time. And then also because if a return is automatically accepted and they don't send the item back, if they leave you a negative feedback, it automatically will get removed. They cannot leave you a negative feedback. So they could leave feedback saying like, I opened a return and they wanted me to pay for it, and like I didn't feel like doing it and they stole my money and whatever. It'll automatically get deleted, or if it doesn't automatically get deleted, you can call eBay customer service and it'll be fine. So that is why I do buyer paid returns. It has worked out very well for me. My return rate in general is very low, and almost always the return is under $20, and it's going to be this situation. At least that's what it's been like to me. I don't know about what it's like for you, but this is how it's worked out for me. So I'm more than happy to always accept returns, and then this is normally how it turns out. So no big deal. So this is the next $50 sale. This is something I listed for one of my Money Pile Monday videos, and the reason why it took me so long to list this item is because I had to replace all of the buttons on it, and I was perfectly okay with doing that. I paid $5 for this at a thrift store, and then I paid another $5 for new buttons, and it sold for $50 because these J. Crew Chore jackets sell consistently in this price range, and I knew that when I originally had picked it up because it's flannel lined. It's a good quality work utility jacket, and I knew when I had originally picked it up that it was going to sell for a decent amount and it would have been worth the work, and it was worth the work. So this was a great sale, and I always look for these field chore jackets in like good brands. Carhartt, J. Crew, even Dickies sometimes. I can't think of the rest of them off my head, but these utility jackets are great. This is my first time finding a shark tooth hat. I was so excited. I picked this up at a recent estate sale, and by recent I mean it was in February. I linked that video up above if you haven't seen that first part of the estate sale haul. But the Eagles had made it to the Super Bowl, so this is like serendipity. I found it on the ground in like an outside little cabana area at this estate sale. I paid like $3 or $4 for this. It sold pretty much within 48 hours for $25. If you can find this shark tooth hat from the 90s with the original Eagles logo, that's worth like $100. So this was great. Super excited to finally find a shark tooth shirt or a shark tooth hat, and I was just stoked about it. This, I love picking up a vintage Eddie Bauer, especially if I can get it for cheap enough. I picked this up for Thriftmas. I paid like $4 for this, and this was just a cute little 90s cardigan. It was a nice little cable knit. It was adorable. Eddie Bauer's a decent brand, a decent outdoor brand. And because it had the 90s going for it, it was seasonal, and also because it's red and had like the cable knit, it was just a classic piece. Sold for $19.90, and the buyer paid for shipping. This is San Diego. You know, I have a weakness for mugs. I paid $1 for this. I'm more than happy to sell this for $5, and then the buyer paid first class shipping because this just fit in a 6x5x5 box. I've never had an issue with anything breaking when it's like one of these small mugs. So sold for $5, and happy that something didn't get smashed in trash. It was a cute little vintage mug. I thought about keeping it because of how often I've gone to San Diego now and how kind of like how many good memories I've had, so maybe I'll keep the next one. This was awesome. This, at the same estate sale that I found the shark tooth hat, I found this mug, and I had it up for like a week, and I was getting a lot of like watchers on it, but I didn't know if it was like you guys like checking to see how much it would sell for, because this is one of like the mugs that you should look out for. As soon as I put Courtney Cox in my title picture, it sold within like a couple of hours of me changing the first photo to where it was this layout photo where Courtney Cox was in the beginning photo instead of at the end. And it sold for my full asking price of $54.87. So this Libby Celestial Cobalt Blue mug, be on the lookout for it. And do this. Find the screenshot of Courtney Cox drinking out of it. You will sell it. This was awesome. And then the last one I have to share with you is a Tahari piece, another Tahari linen piece. This was a roll tab, a long sleeve, and it was a 1X, and it was pink. Perfectly cute piece. Again, I like selling my Tahari, and I especially like selling my Tahari linen, and it sold for $15, and I paid $4 for this at a thrift store. So that is everything I sold for the last week in February. Again, I didn't have a lot of sales for this week, but I had a few here that were really awesome, and again, I'm just grateful for every sale that I get. So thank you again for watching. I hope your sales are good, and I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, bye. Bye. Hero, 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 hero. I wanna be a hero, hero.